Enlarge it.
What's good, people? Welcome back to another Black Eyes TV production. Yeah, I'm happy to have a nice, good, close friend on, somebody who's doing a lot for the culture, as the title says. I'm here with my co-host. Speak to them, Mr. Riggs.
Oh man, this is Terry Riggs, Mr. Riggs, UK tour guide to the rest of the world. And today we have something special when we're talking all the way from music to all the way to talking about the energy, life forces, and so on. But you know what? I'm going to let my co-host go through everything, and then we're going to start breaking it down from there.
All right, well, without further ado, I want to introduce our guest, or I want him to introduce himself, because there's a lot of titles, a lot of things he does. So, again, Brother Ifaleke, speak to the people, tell them who you are, what you do, and then we'll begin the conversation.
Greetings, Richie. Greetings, Brother T. Thanks for having me in the show. I'm Ifaleke. I'm also Kevin Haynes, those who know me in the more musical context, in jazz and African folk music. Awo Ifaleke, I'm a priest of Ifa. I'm an Awo, that means I give divination and help people to see where they're going and help them to move forward in their destinies and in their paths that's been chosen. So I do that on the side for the community who's involved and who are initiates themselves and the practitioners of that system. So that's Kevin Haynes, that's Awo Ifaleke. Outside of that, I'm a permaculture designer. I design eco-living systems, which is based on that and fixing and preparing and being in the ecosystem. So that's what I do.
That's all. Brother, you can put your camera on so the people then can see your face.
Oh, yes.
And see who Brother Ifaleke is. If it starts to slow up, we might turn off the cameras. That's why we got our cameras off at the moment, people. We'll all camera. There he is. That's all. That's all. That's the one.
I do.
Yes.
Ah,
that's all. Look, see, as soon as you did that, the numbers start flying up on the views. Yeah. That's what they was waiting for. Look, I even let you see my face. Mr. Riggs is gonna stay anonymous But again, my camera's going to come on and off depending on how the internet's working today. But again, greetings, my brother. Appreciate it to you. Quick bit of history for the people them that don't know. Brother Ifaleke, was one of the first people that I actually filmed when starting Black Eyes TV. He was literally there the first time I went out and filmed. That's how we met, and we just clicked on that day. And straight away, he came with a concept to me that I wasn't familiar with, which was permaculture, which we're going to get into a bit later. But yeah, just to let the people know, it goes way back. Have a lot of respect for this brother. Yeah, he's an activator of energy through what he does. Yeah, I mean, I've had personal experiences with him. You can see him on the channel as well, doing his Orisha celebration, which again is something we'll talk about and touch on a bit later. But first of all, let's talk about the musician in you, because that seems to be your main form of communicating with the people. It seems. Yeah, that's how I know you. So talk to us about that side of you, your career, what you're about, what you've done.
I'll just probably start with what's presently happening, and then I can just kind of filter through the different things. Currently, I'm promoting my a current album that has been digitalized now, which is Ajoshepo. I am a saxophonist and a percussionist and a composer in African jazz music. I've been doing that for the last 30 years. I have 3 albums out. I have 2 in the wings, another 2 in the wings waiting, which are after we, get some good feedback from this, then we'll kind of put them things out. So that's what I do musically. Yeah, I said, composer, writer of African jazz. I am a drummer, percussionist in Yoruba bata drumming system styles. So that's what I'm actually a specialist in, from the diasporan perspective and from the native Yoruba perspective. And so outside of that, I also teach the drumming systems to our brothers and sisters who maybe haven't had a chance to interface with this art form, because the art form itself is a spiritual activity anyway, and so obviously it's going to be very difficult for people to interface with something that is maybe information that they don't know about. So I try to interface with the community with this really special art form of bata drumming and singing. I've been doing that here and making people aware of it for the last maybe 20 years, I would say, where people come to my workshops, come to my classes. I've taught many people, and just inspire our people to take these types of art forms up. So bata drumming itself is about drumming for the Orishas and the different deities in our Yoruba system, to God, to all of the things that we know in our map of spiritual reasoning. The drums are the conduit between the living and the non, in the sense of spiritual energies, physical or non-physical. They're still operating, they're still there. So I teach how to communicate properly again, because I think within these types of places, it's very difficult for people to really actually do this particular practice, because this is England. And so I've been fortunate to go to the places and sit down with the master people, so that, maybe it's for my destiny to bring up the young, bring up whoever it is now to continue doing these things wherever we are in the world. Doesn't matter. As long as we've got the power and the wisdom of it, then we should be doing it. So I had a discussion with a close brother recently. He was maybe asking me, should we be doing anything? Because, all the lockdown and this and that and da-da-da. I said, listen, there's a time when we have to use our things. And if you haven't got the skill, that's kind of very in a time like this now, these are the things where we need to use these powerful things. These things can energize us, heal us, and as I said before, it's connecting with another realm that is not physical, but it's part of you, and it's something else that's connecting to you. It's part of your destiny and reason why we're doing things. So these are the information that our ancestors have given us. The drumming is part of that system. So the bata drums themselves, actually, they are involved in kinship, courtship systems, where when these people come, they call the bata drums. The bata drum is a talking system itself, meaning that it's copying what's been said and gives it in a quick reference to the community, so they know, as a remembrance. It was kind of a little bit like the tape recorder. That's what the bata drums were, like the tape machine. But the people remembered everything, and that's how they communicated what was going on from other kingdoms and what was going on in the past. So the drummers and other characters were involved in shaping what was going on in the past. And so the drumming system and bata drumming is very much dominant in that context of remembering ancient things. So that's why the kings would have these drummers come to the courts to play for them. Also, at the same time, it's connecting with the energies instantly. So these are the kind of things I wanted to share, things that I've learned. I know that it kind of seems quite far away and quite distant, because obviously talking about things that maybe seem impossible in these places, but it's about the wisdom. So anyway, that's what I've been doing outside of just performing the stuff, the music, musically, and also sharing that in an educational context, and also sharing that in a spiritual context as well.
No doubt, no doubt, no doubt. Now, again, people would have seen the flyer cover for this show, which is also your latest album cover. So let's talk about that. Like, what's the name? Is it? I know it's just released, right?
Yeah, so it was released on the 5th of June. The name is Ajoshepo. So Ajoshepo means, well, quite a few things, but the main aspect of Ajoshepo is unity. Unity, journey, going to a foreign space or land, at the same time congregating with an association who are on a mission in the same context. So this is the basic meaning of Ajoshepo, and within the album context, for my own personal self, the music's really about my personal journey and the things that I've been able to witness and learn and share. And so I've done 3 albums. My first album was Tomorrow's Path, which what it means, my path of my rites of passage, I would call it. That was the album of rites of passage, where I was going into the direction of knowing. And then Ori Ire was the knowing what my purpose is, what my destiny is, or what my potential is, and all the other things that is connected to spiritual reasoning. This is now the continuation. Ajoshepo is now associating myself with those who are in the same conscious space, reasoning, and movement. And so this album is just representing what's happening right now. People are shaping up. Consciousness is naturally risen, whether people understand it or not, within the dimension of frequency that we're changing into. That's why there's so much of the negative energy, because something else is coming that is changing the consciousness. That's why so much people is in this kind of space of mind. I know there was something that had to trigger it, but this is what the situation is at present.
Now, I listen. I what can I say? I've listened to on Bandcamp, and there'll be links for all for you to go and listen to some of what Kevin's doing, brother Faleke is doing. But there's multiple elements to the music. Obviously, you play saxophone. That's your main thing in that setting and on this album and in the group Allegro. But what kind of musical elements are you pulling from? Because obviously, when I'm listening to it, I'm hearing obviously the African connotations are there, but to other people, there's gonna be other cultural elements. So talk to us about what's gone into making certain tunes. And just for the people, number two is my track. Number two is my track. But go and check out the whole thing. But yeah, talk to us about the different elements that go
I
into.
add on to that because a lot of people may not know, but Fleck, I want you to just give the information of who Papa Legba is.
Okay, so let's start from the point of Orisha, because a lot of my music is talking about the Orishas. So I'm expressing knowledge of African spirituality, firstly. And so then, if you're not aware of Alegba, or Yeshua Dada, this is the messenger of God, and a kind of a witnesses, or somebody that is watching something in your destiny, and is the one that is also in charge of the roads, all the different roads in our lives, and all of the doors that we're going to go through or not go through. So this Alegba, Issue of Dara, which is the name of my band, is about all the roads and all of the paths that are blocked or open for us to go through. And if it's blocked, Issue is the one that is blocking it. Maybe it's something you didn't do. Maybe something you're not aware of. Maybe there's something in your characteristic that has to change. So when I first kind of got the band together, obviously I wanted to have something that was meaningful and powerful, and that resonated, something that could be eternal. And Shuddara is that energy. So that's part of the kind of mission with the music, was to have a kind of a powerful force that is a witness, that is also a direction of doors and roads and potentialities, depending on what you're going to be doing and how much you really want to know yourself, because there's shows about that too. So everything fitted nicely. Just needed to find the musicians that was going to be able to understand some kind of concepts. So the music now is, like I expressed, is very much understanding African spirituality and it's all its different aspects. Yoruba system is one system, which is there's only one system, but we are unique selves. And just like I'm creating my music, you can also create something unique to you. And I think our traditions are based on that kind of expression. So we're all really expressing the same spiritual reasonings, but there's a uniqueness between us. So Dogon music and the Wolof and these people are unique in what they do and what they create and what they've expressed. All of the spiritual reasoning and understandings that we can feel and know. So my music has Mandinga and Wolof influences as well as Yoruba. And so I've been working with Jabel Kosoko. He's from a lineage of fine kora singers and players. Actually, his whole family, his father and so on, all of them, they are specialized in kora and singing all of the spiritual folk songs associated with it. And so I'm attracted to that. When I first heard it for myself, I thought, yes, this is the other side of the spiritual reasoning that needs to be expressed and joined with something like Yoruba or other spiritual, the other things that we're doing as can I call us African, Nubian, whatever the names we're choosing to call ourselves, Yoruba, Shanti, Dogon. So we're expressing the same things, but we've got a uniqueness about us. Like your family, if you've got a brother and a sister, you've got some kind of traits that's different to you, and they can express something fresh that you're not doing. And so that's what we are, a family at the end of the day. So I've seen this. It was easy to recognize. I wanted to include this in my music so people understood that we were a family. Yoruba, Wolof. I tried to get some Ganawa, Moroccan energy in my music. I have some different types of Ethiopian expressions too, from the different groups. So there's, I am kind of trying to join myself with my people in different ways through my music. And it's beautiful, it's refreshing as well, because I'm coming from a kind of jazz background, but at the same time I'm very much the traditionalist in the way that I approach my music, because that's what I've been taught from the drumming perspective and folk singing, if you want, and there's a different aspect of my musical abilities. So with that, I've fused my music and looked for specific artists that would resonate and be able to be in the music like it's supposed to be in music. That's it, really. So that's kind of in a nutshell, Groupe Elegua. Mentioned about the different aspects. So we have Wolof, Mandinga, Yoruba, native Yoruba. We have diasporan Yoruba, Cuban Yoruba. Yeah, that's the kind of bulk of it, basically. We have the American jazz experience and what they've left us to the real nurturing of the thing that can connect with everything, basically. That's jazz music.
I feel you totally. I mean, I've listened to a few bits of your music now, and again, I know you have different vocalists on, but on this particular album, this first one, that was you doing most of the male vocals on there?
No, so yeah, most of it is me. Yes, most of it is myself.
Right.
And then I have a guest, his name's Ola Ifa, Ola Lanre. He's traditional Ifa priest, Babalao. He's actually one of my teachers. And so, I wanted him to express himself because I like his energy and the way that he expresses himself, and just a way to give you an energy of what the intention is of that, who the people are involved in these things, what the intention is when they're speaking. And I wanted to express that, so when you hear it, it's like, wow. So that's the energy of what we're supposed to be doing when we're doing these things. So I'm trying to gear people to hearing and listening. That's what my skill is, to get people to listen and hear and understand our traditions again, and love our traditions, and resonate to some kind of ascension, so that they can do what they're going to be doing in their life. So that's what my music is really about, just to inspire that potentiality in people, whoever they are.
No doubt. I mean, as you said, you used authentic, Orisha priest, which you also are an Ifa priest, to activate the vocals. And again, the connection between the music and the actual living practices, is ever apparent. But obviously, because you played saxophone, how easy is it, do you find, or talk to that melding of that supposed modern day type instrument or expressment with those original concepts? We know jazz obviously encompasses a whole range of language, but when you're playing and doing that mix? Talk to that.
I don't know what to say, because when like I said, we're creators, so we don't always follow what's maybe you're not supposed to follow the normal line of things, maybe not supposed to be that normal jazz guy that everybody wants to be, whatever it is. So Olodumare put something else that is something else.
That's why you have Hukum.
But to that is basically, at the end of the day, it's whoever you are is whatever you're doing. There's lots of different jazz musicians, and maybe they're not focused enough on what's important in their traditions. That might be a different question for them, or whatever. Maybe I'm the person that is doing that, and so it's quite apparent that I care and I'm loving my thing and I'm doing it in my music, and it doesn't matter what everyone else is thinking. I'm not trying to be a jazz musician per se, really. I'm being a musician. I love jazz, and the people who coined the phrase, I love them people. And if they call it that, that's what it was. And so that's what I'm doing. If they're not calling it, I'm with them as well. So whatever's happening, I'm with my people, whatever they're doing. So that's the situation. That's how it is. So if I'm playing jazz, cool, I'm playing jazz. That's what Coltrane was doing. That's who I love. That's what, his wife was doing. That's what I love. And all the other people that put all the things there for me to study, that's what I love. Why? Because I'm going to be giving it back to my people. And why? Because they're going to be doing it in the future. Why? Because the children are going to be doing it again. Much to love.
In forms of like in the jazz and the sound quality and the energy that comes from that sound, how do you are able to apply that sound into forms of reaching out? Because when we're talking about, like, even when we go into the spirituality and we talk about deities, of like the numbers and the vibrations, when you're calling out to a specific deity, how would you apply that, your music of enjoyment, what you do, into connecting to that call out? Because there's specific music for specific deities at every time.
Well, I mean, there's two questions to that,
Yeah.
Two answers to that, excuse me. You've got to realize when people are being creative, they're in another conscious space. They're not in the thinking. There isn't any thinking going on. That's the first thing. So we're not thinking about anything when we're creating these things. It's like it's coming through you, already. It's already there, and you're just putting it, what your spirit is saying, to put it into kind of some kind of reasoning for other people to kind of digest, because sometimes things mean other things to other people as well. You just put it on the plate. So I'm not really thinking. The thinking probably starts after I'm thinking about the title, things like that.
Yeah.
I've already created something. I kind of got an idea spiritually what it's about. It kind of grows when we start working and playing the music, because we have to be with the people now to share the idea that I've just created and to make it come to some kind of reasoning. So that all happens when we're performing and we're rehearsing the music, and then when we actually activate it, meaning going on stage and performing it, and we're not sure what's going to happen. It affects us, and it makes us do things that we're not sure what we're going to do. It makes us ascend, meaning that there isn't any thoughts. We're ascending to something, and it allows us to produce this kind of energy that you're feeling and seeing. We play in a way that so when I'm playing, I'm not thinking. I did the thinking when I was practicing, you know what I mean? When I was playing at home, practicing. But when I'm on stage, there isn't. So you're basically, so one, so there's different stages of it, basically. So when I'm creating music, and if I'm gonna create an album, I don't think, right, I'm gonna create a Joe Chapeau. It doesn't go like that. It usually goes something like, right, I'm gonna play some music, I'm not sure what's happening, and then it makes its own self. It tells me, you know what, this is what I want. I create a melody, it just comes out of me. I then make it into some kind of sense, just like Ifa in a way. Ifa is the kind of the decoding spiritual information to you. Yeah. So music's very much the same. When we're playing, we're decoding what spiritual energy that's been given to us to kind of put down, and then we now give it something that is what it is a lot of the time. So if I'm going to write a song about, if there's something about Elegba, I think, right, I want to play something for Elegba. So I think about something, and I've got maybe 50 things I can do. I can't play them all. So I think the one or two of them just comes up. This is the one feels right, and I play that one.
Because like in my forms of like me moving forward, in like, for instance, I know what Shango can do, but I always look at the main major three that I always call them the brothers, which I call Ashosi, Elegba, and Ogun. And I am able to, when I'm in that warrior mood, I apply that to what I do. I was just wondering, do you do something similar in, when you're in that space or one of the deities? Does it swing you into that kind of mood of what that deity is?
Well, as a practitioner, you kind of sense you are that deity. So, with a different sense. You are participating in what the energy is being, told to you. You are. At the same time, they are there to guide a particular aspect of yourself. That is why you will Shango. There's something in you that is in your character that makes you do certain things. So if I'm a drummer and Shango's not necessarily my energy, but it's because I'm doing this activity, I'm waking up that energy to support me, because that's what he wants. That's what it was designed to do. Come and support me. So I'm calling it. This is how we think about our spiritual systems. So sometimes I think we have a Eurocentric expression of thought, and I think we need to change that, because you can only change that by being a practitioner of the things. So you need to know the thoughts of our ancestors. The only way you can know that is practice what they were doing. It will give you the secrets of how to articulate what it is you now want to say about spirituality. It becomes easy, not difficult. You understand?
No, I know enough times. I hear you. I know enough times when we talk, you talk about and you use the word activation a lot. And obviously, as you said, when you do your Orisha celebrations, you will tell us, what spirit you're coming in, and as you said, you're drawing on a certain spirit and activating it as accordingly.
Right. So going to a point of as a spiritual practitioner, and if I have to do something in a specific way, we firstly get directives from divination places, and then that gives us advice of what energies that we need to act at whatever time frame and why we're doing it. We just don't turn up and do something because we were Shango, right, let's do this today because Shango's going to go. It doesn't go like that. Everything's based on timing and understanding the basics of what we're doing, why we do things. And it comes back to understanding our spiritual traditions. The traditions will teach us what the energies are there for, and why they're connected to us, and why we use the aspects of them to do specific things. So when I'm doing my celebrations is a directive from a divination point of view first, before I turn up anywhere. I'm going somewhere, it's based on the spiritual practice. It's giving me advice to support the community. These are the energies that are present at this time, or this month, or this year, whatever way you want to look at it, or this particular week. These are the energies, or that day, whatever way you want to look at it. Something's happening, and they're all coming when they want to come. And if you know when it is, because you've got to go to the axis of information for that. And if you're in tune, then now you accordingly go about what you're supposed to do. So the celebrations are based on that. Directives, spiritual directives of particular energy fields that are good for the community to kind of immerse themselves with. It's going to heal them. It's going to raise their consciousness, some more than others, and so on. So the work that I do is based on that only when it comes into the spiritual domain. So I don't do anything else.
Okay. I mean, I wanted to ask as well, in relation to time, cycles of time, special dates. Speak on that relation as well to what you do, the culture, how key that is.
I mean, it's very important. If, like I said before, if you want to have a different thought process about how you're supposed to navigate through our traditions, thoughts that we're using are Eurocentric thoughts, and it's okay to a certain degree, but then it's not okay to another degree because there's other thoughts that you never used yet, and they can only be from our tradition, and they can only be from the tongue of our tradition, and that can only be from prayer, and so on. So these are the elements that we need to start to work with if you want to ascend, if you want to change, if you want to develop, and if you want to share. Because they're the things that are going to empower people at the end of the day. So our thoughts have got to be kind of more in line with what our ancestors are thinking. Now the only way you can do that is practice something that they were doing in order to be in line, or at least be closer to the thoughts of how they would want to express things. So drumming, singing is the thoughts of how they want to express themselves. And when they do it, there's always an extra empowerment, extra activation, as you mentioned, because now you forgot the secrets of, it's not even a secret, we forgot the reasons why when they were doing it, what was going to happen when it happened. We forgot the power of our voice, we forgot the power of our energy when we sing and speak, what it does out there when we do it. Them things have been lost. So basically, the only way you can tie yourself back into that and align yourself back into that is to be involved in these activities that activate you, resonate your consciousness to a certain level, depending on what you're doing personally. Because if you're doing rubbish, then you're not going to be able to ascend. And then if you're doing the right things, you will start to ascend in the timing that you're supposed to ascend. Ascend means higher consciousness. Higher consciousness allows you to navigate through all the things that you're going to be doing in your destiny. And if it's positive, you'll achieve it. If it's the opposite to that, we'll see. Because obviously there's positive people in the world trying to do right things. So you may not, you may win a battle, you may lose one, depends. And that's the reality. That's what we've got to start to learn from our traditions, because we are slightly warped in the way what we're doing things. Until we're in our own patch, nation, kingdoms, again, and we are making the directives of what we're supposed to be doing first, then these things will be a kind of in the past, and we'll be in a new kind of phase of realities of, I think, I'm calling new realities, where the consciousness is already knowing what it needs to do, and is part of that consciousness in our world.
So, I mean, the name of the show is For the Culture. And again, that what you're saying leads us to the next part of another facet of what you do. And again, we'll come back to the music and definitely the spiritual systems, because again, it ties back to this part of your expertise, the permaculture. Because this is something I met you when I first met you. This is what intrigued me and first, drew me to you and sparked our initial conversation. And then we went into other facets and areas. But yes, let's speak to that, because again, that connection with nature is a big thing. We're entering a point where this technological ecosystem is at war constantly. So permaculture, give us some background on that, what you're doing in that, what it means. You know, a lot of people may not have heard of it, or may assume that it's something a lot more complicated than it actually is. So yeah, speak on that, brother.
Yeah, okay. So permaculture and design is the terminology. That's the international terminology of this concept of sustainable eco societies or individual living. I studied this about 9 years ago. I was intrigued, like you, about what kind of solutions as us, as African people, do we have, and what are we doing? You know, Olodumare is great, you know. So basically, I just saw this video, and it was about permaculture. And I kind of just, and I don't really watch loads of videos. And this one, I just watched it all the way through, and it said, you know, if you like the video, watch another one, and I watched another one, and I watched another one. I thought, you know what? This science is as ancient as is Kemet. We didn't know, because that's the technology. This technology, this permaculture realities has been there since Kemet. Anyway, permaculture in a nutshell is about ecosystems and cultures, unique cultures, creating sustainable technologies that you know, you don't need it when you got this skill. You don't need to do anything again, because it's always going to be the same for millions of years. So anyway, that's what permaculture is, and also it's about designing in context. So you draw everything exactly how it's going to be in your design. So if I'm going to have an eco, I'm going to create an eco village. In this eco village, we're going to reconstruct the ecosystem we're living in. It might be damaged. So what happens is our people already had skills of fixing things and repairing nature and all sorts of other things that permaculture is about. So it's about sustainable living. It's about the awareness of nature in all its forms, and the potentialities, again, of using, you know, you can use a system like this in its ethical context for proper sustainability. There's food growing, there's food forests. We've got something in permaculture called food forestries, where we create abundance of food. There's also solar energy, there's wind energy, there's water energy. This is all working in your eco sustainable system that you're going to be living in. We're also other technologies that are special to particular groups of people or nations of people, what we want to call us, that will now contribute to particular herbs, things that, you know, only they're going to know, because the ancestors were the one that maybe planted it there, and so they're the ones that know about these plants. So this is what permaculture is. It's about sustainability, repairing, and knowing nature, observing nature, and yeah, that's the basics. It can be complicated because you have to know about all of the different aspects of nature: biology, science, our traditions, which is probably the most important aspect of it, because they're the people that created all of these things. So you begin to realize full circle, you know, basically sustainability, we've been doing that since Kemet. In Kemet, they already created solar energy in them times. It was already working. But that's the secret, because that's on the walls of Kemet, and nobody can, and unless you read it, you won't know. Right? So these things have been hidden from us for a long time. So, or we've not, we've kind of fallen on our consciousness. So we now can't use this wisdoms anymore. But they're there in front of us. So permaculture is about all of these things. But the main aspect of it is creating sustainability, whether it's by yourself or with your family or with the community, where everybody's in an ethical, sustainable reasoning. Ethical, because if you don't use that, it doesn't matter how much sustainability you think you're going to do. If you can't get on and you don't know how to do it properly, because that's based on spirituality, so it's connected. Ethics is connected to spiritual reasoning. And if you don't know how to do your spiritual work properly, then the ethical reasoning will be all warped, meaning that people are going to fight each other, and then the sustainable thing that you think you're going to do will be business. And it's nothing to do with sustainability anymore. It's to do with business ethics. So permaculture is about sustainability, it's about fair share, ethical reasoning within the spiritual context. Then you now got sustainability, and now you've got an ecosystem, and you're living in a system that is sustainable to you and the rest of the people in that community. So what I'm doing is trying to use this wisdom and knowledge, and I'm building a eco village and school in Benin and Nigeria. So what there'll be demonstration sites for people to go and have a look on how to be sustainable, so they can see a community being successful and being sustainable. That's what I'm trying to engineer at this present time. So we have places, what I call sustainable hubs, we can go to, and they're running everything, and everything's working. They have their own currency. They have everything going in a way that is independent. And then they can start thinking about all the other things that they want to do. You can start from there. All the other things that are our brothers and sisters who are out there trying to champion certain things. You need to start somewhere there first. You need to have sustainable systems, so you can have produce, you can make things. You've got your own gas, you've got your own this, you've got your own that. You've got young people to defend it. Because a permaculture site has to have its own security as well. People who come there, you think that you're giving them for free. No. You have to be respectful to one another. You have to know the ethics, and then we'll give it to you for free. That's how it goes. So permaculture is about all of that, basically. Really raising consciousness, but within a community sense where everybody's working for understanding what they're doing, and they're trained as well. So the school is based, the school that I'm creating is based, you come to the site, you've got to be educated in permaculture some way, in some form. So you come and do one of my courses, and then you come down to the second phase, which is practical work. You come down and build an eco home. You come and build, a dam. You come and build a food forest. You come and build, the kind of biofuel that's going to run your, whatever you want to run it on your site or outside of your site, depending on what it is you're trying to do. So encouraging quite a lot of different normal technologies and ancient technologies that's been forgotten. And so permaculture about all of that. Is that enough for you?
Terry, you was gonna ask something.
No, I just going on the back of what he was saying about understanding, because remember he's talking about in Benin and in Nigeria, because I wanted to just give an info on your travels, because you are a well-traveled person, and coming out of the coming out of the Western world in coming into like in Africa, is showing the people the experiences and understanding, because some people they feel like uncomfortable to going back to the motherland because they don't know the history of the motherland, and connecting to that motherland, it can become a very massive issue for them.
Well, I'll go back to what I said before. If you're not interfacing with our cultural experiences or in a deeper way, how can you? You can't. You've got to be participating in something that's to do with our people so that they can resonate with you and you can resonate with them again. You cannot come there or go to our homes in our traditional people with your Eurocentric ear of self. You know what I mean? No, you got to go back and know yourself, know how to greet the people again, and how to talk to them in their own language, and so on. And then you know yourself, you start to have an essence of what is important, that's my point. And you start to kind of take off the attachments that we have in these places. So it's about the attachments that we're connected to these places, whether it's in America or UK or Germany, wherever our people are. There's some heavy attachments to being in these places. And unfortunately, you're talking about that. So that's why I have to go back to, well, what are they doing? So maybe there's a question in that place, you know?
Sorry, brother. Just having a little internet problem there. Yeah. Sorry about that, bruv. Yeah. Again, let's talk about this organization that you started, and obviously the teaching part of it, because you know, since I've known you, you've been in the process of setting up many, you know, multiple disciplines about this permaculture situation. So speak to us about the structure that you've been trying to put together, the curriculum to teach it, because as you've spoken about, it's maybe not as complicated, and yet still it does need, you know, instruction. So speak on that.
There is some aspects of it that is quite, you know, you can download and you know, understand, and then there's obviously another part of it which is the practical, and you know, it's like understanding maybe, you know, I don't know, 10 subjects, and you now need to download all these different subjects. So permaculture is something like that. You know, if you want to be a bricklayer or a carpenter, or you know, you got to do all them things as well. So it becomes now more complicated, right? So if you didn't know nothing about biology, you've got to start learning about it now. And so this is the aspect. So now I'm telling you to do something in permaculture. All of a sudden, I've just told you 10 different subjects that you need to learn all of a sudden. You don't really know them. You know about them, but you don't know nothing. You know, so this is what it is about. So there'll be some. So what I've done is I'm breaking it down into, what I'm going to do is do two courses. One very basic permaculture, so people get the understanding of the ethics and the basic reasoning of what permaculture is. And then the second course is about more information and more for the person who's done the basics to now investigate all of the other disciplines for themselves. I want to build a house. I want to build a firm house. So once I've done this course, I'll have an understanding of that, but I've not physically done it. So we're only teaching people the information, what they need to do. And then we invite them to come down and experiment with what they just told me that they knew, because it's obviously we're doing assignment. It's based on an assignment. So I'll give the courses. The basic course will be some basic information searching about particular subjects, you know, maybe a plant or whatever it is that we want you to know about. Might be to do with the climate. Might be to want you to go and find out about what's going on in the climate, identify things, and then that be part of it. So there's a lot of information, and at the same time, one can give, you know, small doses of information for people to kind of get the idea of permaculture and design and the concept behind an ecosystem, what it really is, what we're doing in an ecosystem, what it's doing for us, and what we're supposed to be doing in it as a species. Yeah, so permaculture teaches all these things as well. So we're not just living. We know why we're living. We got our direction spiritually, and now we're manifesting the physical. Nature is part of that. You understand? So we have to know what nature is speaking and saying to us. So what I'm doing is I'm going to have some online courses, I hope by the end of January, to be realistic, because I'm just finishing off the actual course information, and the course information will be based on assignment work. And then they will be given a certain amount of time to do that assignment work, and then they'll be given, a test. And if they pass the test, then they can now do the second course, which is Introduction to Permaculture. And the same thing, if they pass that test, then we'll invite them now to come to the site and be part of like a volunteering team. At the same time, learning a specific aspect of something in the information that was sent to them they want to do. So maybe they want to do beekeeping. Maybe they want to learn how to do that. So they can experiment on the site about how to kind of raise bees. Maybe somebody wants to raise goats and other livestock. So maybe now they come and we do that. And so on. The list of things can go on. So permaculture is about sustainability in everything, literally. So if anybody wants to be involved in these types of things, then I've left my information so they can email me, and if they want to be involved in the courses or in the site when we kind of get it up and running. The idea is to kind of get the site. Then I will now, with a team of people, we'll go down to the place and build this permaculture village. The village will be based on the people that are going to be there. So we invite the people there. We select who it is that is there to be the site. And then we implement the sustainability that they're going to need. They'll be part of the first school. So they'll be the first students that will be learning how to live in their own sustainable site, and teaching them the ethical reasoning. Obviously, the people will be a bit selective because we want good-natured people. So that's what we'll be looking for. And then we'll support them, which I know already, which will support them in being sustainable, which they can share, and they can go elsewhere and do a new one. And hopefully maybe that can flower into and blossom into lots of sustainable systems around, and people will start to probably change the way they do things in their countries. So that's the kind of mission at the moment I have. At the moment, what I'm doing now is trying to raise some funds with my global self-reliance eco system. The company is a non-profit organization, and we're now trying to raise some funds to help us with our hardware that we're going to need, and other materials to get us going. We're not asking for more than that. We just need a start in hand. After that, let's get on with it, and then we'll come back and show you this is the kind of things that you need to do if you want to have surplus to start anything in the future. Because everything that we do at the moment is based on we don't have any money, we don't have nothing sustainable, we can't do anything. We're not connected enough at this present time to believe that when we put our money together, it's a value. And so this is one of the problems at this present time, we're doing things together. And that's why we can talk about other situations that, it's another conversation in a way. But this is why we're in this predicament, as well as all the other things.
Ifaleke, I wanted to ask, right? This is just out of the box in the fact of what we're going through, because me, I'm more into the spiritual sense, and I always like to educate our people about our systems and our spiritual systems and things like that. So like for instance, in what we're going through, in how, if you was breaking it down in using the deities, how would you break it down to explaining it so that people have a much more understanding of some of these characters?
Right. Okay. So if you was to break it down in a spiritual context of what's happening right now, it would be something like this. We got some other dark forces that are very powerful that want to express themselves in this moment. And so we're up against a serious challenge. And so all the other forces now that are doing the positive things against that are all now coming together as well at the same time. Something that maybe hasn't happened in any recent time. That energy, if it does what it's supposed to do, will overcome the other thing. That's the basics, basically. So we got a big monster frightening our people that's got massive intentions. And we got the Orishas there that's on our, on our side and on our back, saying that, well, this monster is not really a big monster. It's just something that wants to kind of have its intentions, and it can't win because we are eternal, and that one's just here for the moment, and it's just doing this thing right now. It needs to do it now, so it needs to do what it can do. So, in a context, if you know your spiritual stories, then you'll understand what I'm saying. We're eternal beings. Yeah? And everything else that's happening may not be.
Okay. So, like, for instance,
we'll give you some answers to there. So anything that's happening, it's because the forces of, Most High put them there, and they've got to be there. But at the same time, they're only what they are, and obviously our traditions will tell you what they are. So now we come into the present day of what's happening with our virus and vaccination, and they want to plug you into this, and they want to do that to you. They want to do all sorts of madness to you now. That is frightening. Yeah, it's seriously frightening. They want to nano you now. They want you to be a robot now because they want to lower the consciousness more. Because if they do that, you won't be able to send anywhere. The potentialities that we got, which is eternal, you won't be able to do that if you, if you don't know what's going on. So in the basic vibration, we've got the Orishas, we've got the Urumales, and we've got Egungun, and we've got what we call negative forces. So they're all in a circle, and in this circle, you can see some, and then you can't see any of them. And so that's what's going on. So when we talk about the vaccine, you can't see what's going on in it. You know what's in that vaccine they're going to give you? When they say, when you're going to go on that flight, what's inside it? You know what's in it? Because if you do, then you'll understand what I'm trying to tell you. Yeah? Right.
Definitely.
That is the mission.
Again.
So basically what I'm saying, the forces are there to show you the story of what's happening to us. It's what's happening in the spiritual realm is also happening in the physical realm. That's what it's saying. That's what I'm saying to you. So the forces and energies are moving in their moment of whatever they need to move of the time. So this time now, these energies are going to burn out. So, they're kind of now got to do the worst of what they can do. At the same time, if our people are not, ascending, they won't be able to do what they got to do tomorrow. They won't be involved in it. So, so we can look at things, in the micro, the macro, and depends on the consciousness of the people that are listening to the show and where their mind's at and what they think is really happening, how they can tie into their spiritual reasoning. Our spiritual reasoning is the map of what's happening in the physical realm. And basically, if you don't have that access of information, then you're only reacting to what's happening in the physical realm. And you don't have any solutions, and you don't know what you're going to do because you're reacting to the virus. You're reacting to what the government nation has just told you what you've got to personally go and do now. that might be more important than your spiritual prayers that you just went to go and say just now. So this is the kind of consciousness I'm talking about here, that where we're at, some other people's energies are still dominant in us, and this is what I was talking about, us, the way that we think about things. It's based on the nation and places that we're in as well, and that will affect what we're doing or not going to do. Yeah, which is another thing. If you don't do our things, what are you expecting to happen? Right. You do your things, we're expecting to happen. Wisdom and knowledge, and activating important key things that's going to move you or a community forward, that won't allow the other communities to move forward because they're not doing what you're doing. And they're going to wonder why, how comes we can't get there when we're black people, because you didn't do what them people was doing. So, which comes back to basically we've got to kind of really, this is the moment where we've got to make the right choices about what we're supposed to be doing in the future. Yeah, everything's open in the open now. And we have to resonate and we have to ascend to the things. So if you're starting from, from a baby point of view, it doesn't matter. Your children will be able to kind of take the next mantle because you've shown them what they're supposed to be doing.
Brother, I wanted to again, we've talked about the Orishas, but again, let's cover that, because again we use that word. But can you give us a rundown of the Orishas and their meanings, each one? Because again, we've mentioned a few in the context of the conversation and in relation to your album and your music. But yeah, could you just give the people a rundown of the Orishas and the importance of each one, please?
Well, I won't give you all of the Orishas. There's a whole link. So
don't worry, you know.
But yeah, what I can do is I can give you a pointer to the main aspects of all the Orishas that people can recognize, and I can give you a kind of a basic breakdown on what their characteristics are and what they mean to our people. So we have Elegba, which I kind of was touched on briefly. Elegba, Yeshua Dada, is the it's the one that comes down to report everything that we've been doing in the physical realm. Because in the spiritual realm, we already agreed on particular things that we're going to do. And so that's our spiritual kind of information that's been given to us in our context of system. Then you have Ogun. Ogun is the other ancient Orisha. Why they're ancient? Because they represent the first energies to be expressed as energies. So, and also these Orishas exist because the human energy exists. That's why they're here. Or that's why they got characteristics like the humans, because they're there to be entwined with and part of the human experience. That's how they can do their things. So we have Ogun. Ogun is associated with the chain of life. He's also associated with metal, iron. He's iron, or the provider of that energy. He's the warrior of warriors. He's the first warrior. So anyone that wants to be a warrior, that is Ogun. Ogun is the one. There's also Ogun is the builder of a society. So when we come to permaculture now, Ogun is the one responsible for putting up all the things, because the manpower that is needed to do that is Ogun, as well as the metals that you got to use to construct everything. The manpower is Ogun, and you've got the actual energy itself is Ogun, and there's a stubbornness as well about Ogun. So there's the kind of aspects of Ogun. Then you've got Oshosi. He's brother and associate. And this associate Oshosi is to do with a hunter in nature, a hunter in the spiritual kind of context of being able to go and get things that is needed for the society and the community, and also upholding what the energy that is he's going to get. Basically, there was an agreement in heaven with that bird and that hunter, where the hunter's allowed to do what he likes to do with the bird, and the bird's in agreement. So they're the kind of stories for the hunter. So we got a Shosi or Dede, so he's got some different names. So they're characteristics of a Shosi. Then we have Obatala. Obatala is associated with wisdom, and also is associated with the first type of kingship in his own way. So Obatala is wisdom, purity, and the first to gather groups of people as a kingdom. He's a king, and he's very powerful. His wisdom is the reason why he's powerful. And in the system of the Orishas, he's the father. So when all the Orishas need advice, other than Ifa, which is a Rumina, which I'll come to in a minute, other than Ifa, Batala is seen as the father. So in the family, Ifa would go to Batala and say, hey, what do you think about this situation? And then Batala would be in his peaceful context and his high wisdom give you the answer in that way, because there's no other way he can give it to you. So that's the characteristics of a Batala. An energy of light. He's white as light, and everything in the light represents a Batala. In our spiritual reading of the year, that's the energy. So basically, Obatala is the energy of wisdom, authority, and an energy that can bring everybody together. Yeah. So that is the energy of the new year. So that's Obatala. The other Orishas, we have Oshun. We start talking about the female deities now. So Oshun is a goddess of the river. There's also connected to divination. Oshun is also connected to children. Oshun is also connected to the marketplace, where we go and buy our goods and foods and exchange and have bartering. Oshun is the queen of that area of bartering with people. Other female deities include Yemoja. Yemoja is the goddess of the sea. She is the energy of mothers. So all motherhood and all the essence of the women that are going to give life into the world, Yemoja represents that. The qualities of all mothers, the qualities of the naturistics of caring for the child, and that kind of fierce energy that is needed when people trying to take your children, whatever they choose, the mothers, that's the energy. Yemoja is that energy. We have other Orishas, other female Orishas, Oya. So we have Oya, which is represented by, there's two aspects of this energy. One is to do with the ancestors, what we call the gatekeeper of life and death. So when we are leaving this place, Oya is at the gate to usher us to the next destination in our non-physical realm. So Oya is the gatekeeper before we go, and also she is the energy of wind. She represents the energy of wind, and that can mean change. So she's associated closely with Shango, If you don't know who Shango is, we're going to talk about Shango in a sec too. But she's associated with the elements of change, and the energy of the woman's energy in her powerful context, of her strength. So she's the gatekeeper and the woman that can change things in another way that all the other ones that I mentioned wouldn't be able to do. Then we have Orunmila, the Orisha of wisdom and destiny. So Orunmila is the one that is the witness of everything that happened in any time, in every time, and in everything. So Orunmila is the one that witnessed everything's destiny. When Ogun came, when Elegua came, when God was moving around, when the planet was being made. He's actually the chief architect of the planet. He's the one that mapped out how everything should be in the planet, so that all of the other Orishas can now come and do what they need to do on the planet. So if it was Ogun that needed to come down in the chain, if it was Obatala that needed to come, Orunmila already mapped out everything for them to what they need to do, because he's seen everything and he's been given the instructions by Olodumare to know everything. Yeah. So this energy is now Orunmila that is there to help the human or any species or anything to know its place in its place. So if it's just a bit of sand, it has a story. You know, if it's a bit of sky, it has a story. Ifa was there to witness what happened when the sky came. So that's Orunmila, Ifa, and the system is based on his name and his reasoning. He's close, like a close. It's one of, it's the top, general for God, along with Eshu. And two energies are in command of what's happening in everything. They can see and know what's going to happen next, in any time, any moment, any place. Next, Orishas. What will I say? Orishas. They're the main ones. They're the main dominant ones that people know about.
I mean, let me ask you this.
Ogun.
Sorry.
Oshofi, Obatala, Oya, Oshun, Shango, Orunmila. They're the main forces of energy. Them energies represent something to do with the physical realm of us as human beings. So that's why they're called selected Orishas, because their mission is to do with the human experience. And you have different energies that are not necessarily involved in the human experience, but they are witnesses and participate when they choose to. They may be helping your destiny plan, or they may be against it. And so there are other forces, which we call negative forces and positive forces. So the positive forces, what we call Irumoles, they're different energies. They're like Orishas, but they have a different mission. Their mission is specific. They come to make a kingdom of good people, and that's what they come to do. God has given them that mission, because they were there before the Orishas. They were created before the Orishas, but they didn't have any directives to do things. And when they did things, they failed in their missions, so they had to go back to heaven. The Orishas won and completed all their missions, and so that's why they're having the experiences with us. So they've got different energies. So you've got these energies that are with us, and you've got energies that are with us, but they have got a different kind of directive by a God. And then you've got negative energies, also got a directive by God, but they're allowed to be. So that's the kind of spiritual map and the basic context for you. And all of the things about the other energies, they're for you to go and discover and go and find out, because in the traditions, they talk about everything. But you have to know the tongue. The tongue is the secret of who they are and what they are and how many there are there, and so on, because our systems are quite deep, actually, to be honest.
most definitely. I see, big up to Queen Diambi who's joined us in the chat room.
Greetings, Queen.
That's it. Again, for major events, for even the Queen, you are asked a lot of the times to perform a ceremony and play some sort of music or activation with the drums, from the battler side. So speak to that. Is it a particular thing that you're doing each time? Does it change? Is it again associated?
Like I said before, let me give you a basics, because I need people to understand the drumming systems properly. I've got a feeling this is a particular system that is not really prevalent a lot, because this is something that's been kind of lost. The people that have taught me this system, okay, they're not really doing it anymore. Why? Because the Western expression has overwhelmed the young people today in Africa, and they no longer want to take part in actually continuing these traditions, and especially something that is kind of got a specific directive and speciality. These are only used to call Orishas and spirits, nothing else. They're not called for anything. The kingdom part, the kingdom bit, is because the kings and the spiritual people are acknowledging the wisdom of these drum systems that are being put there. If you look in some of the old divination trays and things like that, you'll see bata drummers there. You won't see any other drummers there. In the Yoruba context, you'll see bata drummers next to kings and diviners, because the bata drummers also are part of like their own little divination systems amongst themselves. They knew everybody who they were, and they had to tell the kings sometimes, because they might have forgotten what their purpose was when their other kings were there and queens were there before. They maybe forgot the directives, and they got in another direction that's not the essence of what they were supposed to be doing. So the drummers remind them what they're supposed to be doing. The directives of Olodumare is given to them. So they sing in a beautiful way and play in a beautiful way, so they can't forget. They give them money and they give them everything after they finished. So that's what the drummers are about. And then the other department is complete activation and calling energies to be present while we're doing spiritual work. So the drums, when they're sounded, they're the frequencies that allow the Orishas to hear what we're doing. And they now come and ascend, descend to us to help us in whatever conscious reasoning that we're trying to figure out at that moment in time, whatever it is we're doing. So when the drummers are there, they're activating and calling the spirits to be with us to do whatever it is we're asking for at that moment. So that's what the drums do. They are part of making sure that the energies are with us, even though if we float Obi, or what we call materials that are there, also calling them as well. But we're talking about spiritual vibration of sound, which is a different thing again. It goes directly to their ears, or their energy field, or their emotions. If they have spiritual emotions, it goes straight to their place, because it's sound and they hear it. Now it's like you just told them something, but in a musical context, it's a language. So when we're playing bata drumming, it's language based, not necessarily rhythm, but we play lots of rhythms, yes, but it's coming out of a conversation that was something that was said, that the community, when we play, they're going to say something to us because they know what we just said. This type of drumming system is not prevalent in our systems again nowadays. This is the problem. So most of the people are not associated with this kind of skill. They don't know what we're doing. What I'm here to do is to kind of express that with people like Queen Diambi, and teach people again how we're supposed to be doing these things when we're doing them, what we're actually doing. We're calling the energies. If we're calling Obatala and they want me to be there, that's what I'm doing, because I've got the skill to do that. And the people that are around me that I'm calling to play with me, I've taught them how to do that. Well, they've been with me in the places where the people are doing it, so we can see what they're supposed to do. So when I'm playing in that context, we're calling the energies. When we're in a stationary context, which when I first met you, I'd done a ritual in the context of education. I brought the drums, I made a shrine, and I told you that we're praying to the Orishas, and I told you which ones, and I told you why on the day, and I brought the drums, and we played a sequence of things for about 2 hours. Is that right? Just drumming and singing.
About that.
We didn't do anything else, and there was like lots of songs, lots and lots and lots and lots of. So that is the stories and the language that you're not doing. We people are not doing, and so basically, I have to do all of this and put it into that bookshop, our sister's bookshop, and do a ritual, and bring the people out who can do rituals with me, and put it in the front for you to see. That was the first time we kind of connected. Okay, so the drumming system is based on this reasoning, and you can only be. And the other thing about this as well, you have to be a practitioner to understand it. So
I'm hearing you. No, I was agreeing with you at that point. Continue. You were saying you had to be a practitioner. Finish that point.
Yeah. So basically, what I'm doing there is activation in the sense of recalling the spirits of what we need at the time. Also, educating people of a conduct of how and protocols of how this, in the drumming sense goes. What songs and what things and prayers we say to activate and call the energies to help us in our whatever we are doing or planning to do in the moment and time. That's it. That's the basics. And we have different contexts. And obviously at the moment, the context with Queen Danby is you're seeing us calling the energies with her, so that it can be present, so the energies of what she needs to express and all the energies that's going to be around us gets to your consciousness, so that we can now move to the directives that we were there for in the first place. So the drums is the conduit to make them things happen. That's it.
No doubt. Yeah, appreciate it for that breakdown, brother. I know you dropped a nice piece of knowledge, and there's a lot of things there for people to go away and reference, and that's what we want. Some knowledge for the people to take away and edify themselves and be able to research and grow in the practices, as you said, and become more proficient in amplifying and activating these energies around us. I mean, let's go back to your music, because we're hitting the hour and a half point, so we're gonna wrap it up soon. But before we do that, I wanted to go back to your current and newest album that you just released. When you was making it, obviously, as you talked about the fact of making music and then afterwards looking over what you've made and then deciding on titles and putting that kind of thought into it. But when you started the creative process for this latest project, where did you try to come from? Is there a running theme that you would kind of tell the people if somebody asked you, to kind of give you a quick...
The running theme was always this about self, about learning about self. And I said in the beginning of this conversation about the music point, my journey started from knowing self. And so my music is based about learning and observing and expressing and sharing what I'm learning. So the music's really about all of it at once, and not any specific thought, I'm going to make a record called this, or I'm going to make a record called that. Unity, at your chapeau, is relevant to now. I didn't think about that when I was making the music.
Yeah.
You understand? So it's a spiritual thought then. That's what I was trying to explain earlier. That is something you can't think about. It's not a thought. It's not thinking
after the fact. Yeah.
It's happening. So all I'm doing is expressing now my higher self of what I need to do on this kind of physical self. That's all it is. Obviously, you've got to be attaining, you've got to be doing things to be able to be in that thought process, firstly, okay? I do my prayers, I do my rituals, I do all sorts of things to kind of elevate my kind of reasoning to when I'm doing an activity like music, I'm switched on. And then I just kind of let it happen. And then after that, I evaluate what it's really saying, and then something comes out. So Mojuba Larun, I think the first track, Mojuba Larun, that's about the awareness of heaven, and Larun is a place in heaven. It's a specific place as well. So I'm giving you information about things that maybe, what do you mean there's a place? Yeah, there's different departments of heaven that is in our tradition they talk about. Each department has its own reasoning, different things. So the music's about that awareness, the fact that that's there in our conversation, in our traditional spiritual conversation, it's there. So that's Mojuba Larun. Orisha Power Power B is the second track you talked about, you liked a lot. That's about Obatala. Yeah, so that's about the wisdom of Obatala, and it's a story about an old man that's been approached. But the people that are approaching this old man don't know that this old man is got so much wisdom to share. But they didn't approach this old man correctly, in a way. They didn't really approach the old man in a way that he wanted to give the information to them. But because the man was wise, he done it in a way that they got it anyway. So it's something to do with the character of Obatala. That's the music and everything. And also, as a bata drummer myself, the main Orisha that we have to greet first has to be Obatala. Because it's the first father that they know. You understand, putting everything together now? The first kingdoms of people that created kingdoms of Batala was already there. But other energies came and created kingdoms as well. That was also is justified. But it's just telling you the age of a Batala. I just told you it's an old energy. It's one of the first. So it's acknowledging all of these different aspects. Orisha Power Power B is about that.
No doubt. And actually, you know what? I forgot to ask you and clarify, because again, me and Mr. Riggs, we came and we covered an event we used being honored. So speak to that event that we came to where you was honored by dignitaries, explain the videos on Black Eyes TV 7, some highlights of that where our brother was being recognized. But yeah, speak to what was going on in that video and what happened that day. And again, the relevance and significance of that.
Yeah, I was approached by some kingship that's here in the UK, a fraternity that's connected to the Ogboni fraternity. So they're people who are kingship. They're kind of intermarried into kingship, but they're on their own fraternity as well. So they can make the same rules as kings. Anyway, this organization, I've worked and performed for them over the years, and they recognize what I've been doing. And also, as an war and all the other things that I do, that's been recognized. And they wanted to give me a kingship. I was given a kingship of an Oba. My Oba name is Oba Shere. The giver of spiritual music. That's kind of what I've been given, and so technically I'm an Oba, and yeah, I've been honored for my work as a drummer, for my work as a spiritual motivator, and I suppose a practitioner of somebody that is trying to share. So anyway, I've been honored in that context, and I give thanks for the people. They're coming directly from Ile-Ife, so these people are from Ile-Ife. I wasn't expecting these things, But I know the kingship people very well. It's obviously is a blessing in my destiny to be able to honor to have this type of kingship. This was going to obviously help me to do all the other things that I hoping to do.
No doubt, no doubt. And again, some titles you can't bestow on yourself. They have to be given.
It's be given, yes, you be given. There's got to be a kingship. They're the ones that will give it to you. So yeah, so that these people, I've seen my work over the years here, and I'm part of this organization, and there are a Batala group of people as well. So these kingship are connected to Batala people. The kingship of the Batala people from Ife. And they're the ones that have given me this kingship, this Oba, this title. So I give thanks for that, and I will do my best to honor whatever they want me to do in a positive way for it, and share and do all the things I'm continue doing. So that's why it's been given to me, and that's what's happened to me recently. So it's all kind of a bit overwhelmed with all of it, because obviously it's something new, not expected, and very blessed to be able to kind of receive something like that in a place like here. I never thought there'd be anybody like that here, but you know, that's what wisdom does.
No doubt, definitely. I mean, I've also, again, we you know, kind of in line with the music, the spiritual system, and the permaculture. I guess you've traveled a few places, taken some of your students, and you have got a student in the chat room today watching,
Okay.
just so you know. That's
If
all.
anybody wants to ask me any questions, please just say something you want to know or talk to me. I'm here. I'm not here very much, you know. Yes, go ahead.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's not our fault. That's your fault that you're not here very often. Yeah. Nah. But again, I know you travel. That's the part I was gonna say. I mean, last year was it, or year before, you was in
Last year I
Cuba.
was in Cuba.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah,
So
I took
talk to us about that experience.
Yeah, so last year I've been doing this for a few years. I've been taking my students who was, you know, a bit more serious into bata drumming and give them the aspect of what the Afro-Cubans are doing, which is, you know, again, beautiful, fantastic. And they have been able to hold the traditions of bata in the context of spiritual reasoning to, you know, why I'm doing it as well, because I think it's the ancestors left something amazing. And so I wanted to give a preview to our people about this experience our people are doing in Cuba, and they should interface, if possible, with it, as I have. So that's really what it's about, interfacing with our people in different perspectives. I have the skill. Myself, I studied in Cuba with bata drummers for about 15 years. And so now I'm sharing that with my students in the UK and other parts of the world, to come with me to see the people and meet them and let them tell them their story as well. I can only tell you so much. I can only show you so much. I want you to see what I'm seeing as well and participate and support the people and all the rest of it. So that's what I'm doing. I do a course, like a two-week course of drumming. So I take maybe 5 or 6 people that are interested. I design a 10-day, you know, hard working drumming. They come for 2-3 hours, hardcore drumming. Then I take them to my teachers who taught me, and then show them what they're doing, and they sit and speak with them and give them an experience of what their spiritual culture is about, why they're drumming, and the whole story. So they get what I got. Maybe not all of it, because obviously I did a bit more than that, but they get at least a good insight. And if they're really serious about getting involved in spiritual drumming, this is the people they need to talk to first, and myself. And so, yeah, that's what I do my best to encourage people to do it the right ways, because obviously there's people doing other things that are maybe not really activating anybody. They're just drumming. They're not activating. They're not calling the Orishas. They're not doing it the way that ancestors showed us how to do things. So in Cuba, they are doing it. I wanted to highlight that in the way that I've studied, and I want our brothers and sisters to go to these places and do the same.
No doubt, definitely. And again, when you're traveling, I know obviously as well the permaculture. You've been for a hot minute now reviewing different countries to obviously try to do something as well, set up some sites. So again, I know that's
with the permaculture, if anybody wants to interface with me on that and ask me how they can get involved and or if I'm going to do it somewhere else. At present time, to be honest, I'll be probably focusing on just the 2 places. Like I said, I need to have a ready demonstration for people so they know what it's kind of about. We're not just kind of growing food or just kind of getting to, it's really kind of a lot going on, and you need to study it. And I want to create the demonstration sites properly for people to come and interface with these things. So when they do leave, they are going to go to Gambia or go to Mali, where they need to have them things there, but they need to have it correctly. And they need to have it in a way that's dealing with now. So there's another discussion going on there as well, which I won't go into detail here. But yeah, there's other discussions to have there.
Yeah.
So if anybody
Robert,
wants to to me or
one of your students was asking, there you go, so you can see it too. Black Eyes TV asks, Ifaleke, how important is permaculture to the spiritual aspect of the reparation and of diasporans, especially in the face of the Western dominance and dependency in Africa? And this is one of your students, by the way, like just to let you know, there's another message that she wrote.
Yeah, it's extremely important. Don't get fazed by the title, Permaculture and Design. The concept is our concept, like everything else at the end of the day. So it fits very perfectly in what's happening right now. If you want to have your own oil, you want to have your own energy, you want to have your own resources, what are you going to do? How are you going to do it? Permaculture is perfect for this situation. Now, the terminology is not ours. We can call it other things. We can call it other things that we created. But because everything's been, like we don't know the traditions of the Dogon people and their skills anymore and what they did in them areas of permaculture. So now we've got no name for it. You understand? So that's why we're using the terminology at the moment, because there's lots of things in that we've done. So to the question, that's the kind of answer. Reparations. You're talking about politics.
Sorry, so I don't know whether she heard me say it properly. That's why I put it.
Yeah, this is the political issue you're talking about. And so within the political context, if you have the skills of sustainability, you have the skills of making your own things, why are you begging for reparations? Why are you going to an organization to ask them for something that they did to you? You want something back, and that's so. It's a political thing you're talking about. I'm talking about having everything that you need right now and the next 4 or 5 years. While all that argument is going about that you need to give me this back and back that, what are you doing then? Did you build anything in that time frame when you was talking to these people to give you back these things? What did you do then? Right. Permaculture is dealing with that issue, not the political one that you can't fix right now because you haven't got your own kingdoms, you don't have your own armies, you don't have the political togetherness at this present time to fix that thing that you're talking about. So that's my answer.
No doubt. And remember, people, once the video's posted, Ifaleke has sent me all the links. for what he's doing, where to find the music, and all of that.
Rich, but it wasn't reparations, it was repatriations.
Sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, no, that's why I said the second time round. I said repatriation.
Yeah. So repatriation is a
That's
great
why I
idea.
corrected myself. Yeah, sorry about that, M.A. Brown. I did see the correction. That's why I put it up. And yes, I do know it's a brother. Sorry again. I was looking at Melanated Goddess's post, and that's why I said she instead of he.
Repatriation now is based on you already having a foundation of an idea of what you're going to do. And for those who are, it's a new idea and a new concept, then obviously there's a lot for them to learn. For those who have been dreaming about something like this for moons, then they know what they're going to go and do. So yeah, the idea of it is what we should be doing. We should be going home and helping our people to build home again, so that the things that the other things that I just mentioned are not happening.
Well, and again, I think you mentioned this earlier on when we first started to talk, or we first started talking about permaculture. That is something that's directly connected to Kemet. And again,
Exactly.
you know, a lot of people will talk about the greatness of Kemet and, you know, pyramids and other aspects of mass. But again, agriculture was a major part of the power of Kemet. So yeah, speak to that, brother.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, well, the first solar buildings were in Kemet. The first time they used solar energy was in Kemet, in the time of the pharaohs. They were using the source of the technology was being used in times. The way that we use the land and how we fertilize the land is what permaculture is using. The way that we create swales and dams is the way that we was doing in Kemet. And also, you know, there's other parts of ourselves that went to Asia and also reconstructed new ideas as well, new creations. When I went to Indonesia, when I went to Malaysia, you know, that was one of the reasons I went there, because when I discovered that, but there's African people in Malaysia and then they're creating something in permaculture, I said, wow, how comes we don't know about these people? And I went to meet them. And I was looking at myself. And I said, wow, man. So I asked them, do you know about people in Africa? And they said, just a little bit. We don't really know much about them. We just know that they're us, but that's it. But they've got this technology that none of us are using. And it's old as Kemet. And they the ones that are using it in the forests of Indonesia and Malaysia. And European people are going there to take the technology and put it into something else and say that they did it. And call it some other name. So you understand what I'm saying? We need to know ourselves in all the ways that's there, so we know that we did all these things already. It's not no accident.
Most definitely. Facts. Big time facts. Again, we're gonna wrap it up, but before we go, remind the people of what the name of the album is, where they can get it. And again, people will be posting all the links for everything we've talked about with brother Ifaleke today, his permaculture angles, the music angles. And again, I ask people to go back into the Black Eyes TV archives where you can see our brother doing his Orisha celebration. We've got him being honored, as the brother talked about, getting his kingship. There's a few little bits and bobs, and there's even footage again that hasn't been seen that I still need to process of some of his performances. But rest assured, this is a very talented brother. And again, the title of the show is For the Culture, and that's what the brother is about. That's what his moves are about. That's what his activities are about. So yeah, remind the people of the album name, where they can get it, you know, and any final comments that you want to tell the people before we sign out.
Yeah, well, as this is the moment, my album obviously is coming at the moment. This album is an old album, Ajoshepo. like I said before, it's about unity. Now, the unity is within self, really, because you've got to unify your own self before you unify with other people or other spirits or energies that are in the same mission as you. The album is really about, that's the message in the album. And the other stuff in the music is about the awareness of the things I mentioned: God, places, consciousness of where your mind should be, and different stories about our deeper selves that if you tune into them, then you'll have more revelations about self or understanding about self. You can go to Spotify, you can go to iTunes, you can go to Bandcamp. On Bandcamp, actually, if you go in there, you're going to find a little bit more information. On Bandcamp, I'm going to have some merchandise, which I think you'd be interested in, Brother Richie.
Yes.
Because I know that's your kind of thing. I've never done anything like that before, but it's just because of what's happening now. And I'll talk to you about that. And also I'm thinking about having an album, like a vinyl, which will have some bonus tracks on it. So yeah, you can find that on Bandcamp, and if you want to talk to me there, I'm more interface there. The rest of the kind of digital networks are not really talking there. It's just Bandcamp, because they kind of set up in a way for the artists to really kind of be independent and really interface with the fans. So it's really a good one. I leave comments, I leave information about permaculture and everything. So basically you want to go to Bandcamp, you want to go to Spotify, you want to go to Jazz Refresh links, which is the links that I've sent to you, which is the any of the Jazz Refresh links that's linked to my album. They're the ones that are promoting the album. Their hard work and dedication to us people and letting us have a platform for ourselves, which is what they've done. Allowed somebody like me that's been in the wings for so many years to be now kind of doors open and I could be seen. So I have to big up Jazz Refresh, Adam, Justin, and the team for their respect and seeing me and allowing me to be seen and be heard. And not being kind of covered up as I've been for so many years. But everything has its time, and it seems to be my time at the present time. I give thanks to all those people that have been supporting my music recently, all the brothers and sisters that are tuning into me now. I thank you very much for tuning into me. I thank Sister Queen Diambi for tuning in, for guiding us and for bringing her energy of importance at this present time so that we can activate what's important at this present time. I give thanks to all my Babalaos and Awars for passing on wisdom and consciousness to me, and so I can deliver it in the way that I'm going to deliver it to our family. Everybody's unique and individual in their own way. We have our own skills, and we do things in the way that we've been directed by God. So I give thanks to all my spiritual friends, practitioners. I give thanks to those who are trying to elevate themselves and watching me. I hope this will elevate you to do the very basics of learning your culture and learning your languages and participate in our traditions again. I give thanks to those who've passed on the information of permaculture to me. It's outside of our cultural kind of experience, meaning that this kind of technique has only been shared to a few of us. I noticed that in our Black community that this thing hasn't been really talked about or seen properly. I'm hoping that this video will kind of make people research permaculture and design and take it for themselves as their thing, rather than somebody else's thing. Like I said in the beginning, this is coming from Kemet, from Dogon, from Yoruba, and from every other tradition that is ancient. That's permaculture, really, at the end of the day. So all of the wisdoms, all of the about nature is us. So we can call it many things. But for now, I'm calling it permaculture and design so people can quickly get access to the wisdoms inside it and they'll see themselves. I give praises to Olodumare. I give praises to all of the Orishas, the Oluromiles, and Ifa specifically, which is my Orisha. Ashe, Adupe. Give thanks to you, Terry, for allowing me to express this. Give thanks to you, Richie, and your works of enlightening our people, so they are connecting to people like me and all of the great people that I've seen on this channel so far. The brother from Sudan I saw the other day, it was really beautiful information he had. I was happy to see that, and I hope one day I can connect with these types of people as well. We are one family, but we need to learn our stuff. I give thanks again. The links are there. You can go to Spotify, you can go to Jazz Refresh and go to there, big them up, support them, please. They're doing great work here in this country. Support my brothers Richie and Terry family. They're also doing great work. And support our people here that are doing good work here. We are doing good work, but we still got a lot of good work to do. Okay? And I give thanks to all those who are watching this program today. And love to you. May the Orishas empower you. May the Orishas give you the wisdom. May it ascend you. May they all give you the directions that you need. And please, all of you, get into our culture. Learn the things. Learn our things. Please, if we want to ascend, this is the way. You have to learn our things. I give thanks. Adupe, Olodumare, Ashe.
That's all. I don't know if Riggsy has anything that he needs to say. If he doesn't, then all I'm going to let the people know is to tune in on Sunday for our International Sister Circle. You there, Riggsy? You want to speak?
Just about. We have International Sister Circle at 3 p.m. tomorrow. We have a fantastic woman that's coming in called Chef Amira. Very spiritual woman. She's going to show you a bit of vegan food, and she's going to be talking about her journey. So it's going to be very powerful with the sisters, and then we're going to have powerful things coming up in the rest of the week. That's me for now. I'll pass it back to you, Rich.
No doubt, Riggsy. Yeah. Again, people support Black Eyes TV 7. You know what time it is. We're going to keep bringing you that information. Look out also for next Tuesday. I'm going to be coming back with another True Talk segment where we're going to be going in. Peace and powers, people. Peace and powers.
Ashe.
Ashe.